There's one thing few people understand about intimacy on screen. It doesn't begin with the body, it begins with silence. Jamie Dornan understands that very well. He learned it not from acting books, nor from late-night script readings, but from very specific moments. When the lights go out on set, when the noise subsides, and when he has to face himself in the dressing room mirror, still the same face, but no longer Christian Grey. When intimacy ceases to be private. When Jamie first read the 50 Shades script, he didn't think about scandal, nor about fame. What lingered longest in his mind was an indescribable feeling, intrusion. Not into the body, but into personal boundaries. He wondered, how do you portray intimacy without losing your own privacy? A question that sounds contradictory, yet haunts him more than any scene. Intimacy on screen, Jamie realized, is not like intimacy in real life. It's staged, scened, lit, and seen by millions of eyes. But the paradox is, to make it look real, the actor has to give something very real. And the question is, how much is enough? The body is the tool, the emotion is the risk. Jamie was never afraid of his body appearing on screen. He used to be a model. He understood the camera, he understood the lighting, he understood how to stand, how to lean, how to control the image. But 50 Shades doesn't just demand the body. It demands prolonged, repeated intimacy, analyzed, slowed down frame by frame. The body is easy, he once thought. The emotion is the dangerous part. Because for an intimate moment to feel real, he has to open the door, even if only a tiny crack, for genuine emotion to pass through. And each time, he asks himself, am I letting someone in too deeply? Not a co-star, but the audience. The fragile line between character and humanity. Christian Grey is not Jamie Dornan. Jamie always reminds himself of that. But that line, over time, isn't always clear. There are days when he walks off set still carrying the character's feelings, not actions, but a state of mind. A control, a defense, a way of keeping his distance so as not to be hurt. And then he realizes, he's using the character's very mechanism to protect himself. That makes him stop. Intimacy, he understands, isn't just moments written in the script. It's also about how a role seeps into the actor's inner life, quietly, slowly, but very genuinely. The silence between scenes. The hardest part wasn't the camera rolling. It was the space between scenes. When two actors had just finished a scene requiring intense intimacy, they had to separate, standing in different corners of the room, waiting for the lighting to be adjusted, waiting for the director to call the next scene. In those moments, Jamie felt human vulnerability more acutely than ever. No more characters shielding them. No more dialogue to guide them. Just adults trying to maintain professionalism, while emotions hadn't yet fully subsided. We often talk a lot about boundaries, Jamie thought, but rarely about the time it takes for emotions to return to their original state. The pressure of being misunderstood. After the film's release, Jamie realized something else. Intimacy on screen doesn't end when the film ends. It continues to live on in the audience's imagination. There are glances. There are questions. There are assumptions. People think they understand him, the way he looks, the way he touches, the way he's silent. But what they don't see is the constant deliberation behind each gesture. Long conversations with himself about responsibility, about respect, about not letting a role define who he is. At times, Jamie admits thoughtfully, I feel I have to protect not only myself, but the very concept of intimacy. Because if it's reduced to mere curiosity, what's left? Intimacy doesn't equate to exposure. Through 50 Shades, Jamie learned something important. Intimacy isn't about revealing everything, it's about selectively sharing what's worth sharing. He learned to say no to interpretations that strip away emotional depth. Learn to retain a degree of privacy, not out of fear, but out of self-respect. Not every moment needs to be seen, he thought. And not every intimacy needs to be explained. When intimacy becomes listening. What profoundly changed Jamie's perspective wasn't the media reaction, but very private conversations, with friends, with family, with himself. He realized that, in real life, true intimacy lies not in action, but in listening. In being present without intrusive. In allowing others to be themselves, without imposing expectations. And ironically, it was only when he stepped away from dramatic stereotypes that he truly understood the value of intimacy. A role, not an ego. Jamie doesn't reject 50 Shades. He understands that the role is part of his career, a complex, multi-layered experience. But he also doesn't allow it to define his entire being. Intimacy, he concludes in a very personal moment, is not something you show to the world. It's something you learn about yourself, when the world turns its back. What remains after the lights go out? When things calm down, when the discussions are no longer noisy, Jamie returns to the simple things. Family, peace, quiet moments that don't need anyone to witness. And in those quiet moments, he knows that he has traveled a difficult journey, where intimacy is no longer an abstract concept, but a lesson about boundaries, respect, and self-respect. Not every lesson is taught on set. But this is a lesson he carries with him, longer than any of his roles.